Hi there, this is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films, and welcome to our random review. Today's random review comes from 1954, and it's Black Tuesday, starring Edward G. Robinson and Peter Graves. This is directed by Hugo Fregonese, an Argentinian who worked both in Argentina and Hollywood. This is his last Hollywood film. I'm not really familiar with Fregonese's work apart from this one, and this is a little corker. This is in the cycle of the film noirs that got really bleak really fast. There's Eddie Robinson looking like Eddie Robinson. There's Peter Graves. No Turkish prisons for him in this film. But we open up in death row. What a wonderful place to open a film. Whereas a lot of film noirs end up in death row, but in Black Tuesday we open up in death row. There's a wonderful panning shot of the 5 prisoners, starting with an African American, because it's 1954. Obviously you're thinking, oh please don't make it a stereotypical African American performance that Hollywood used to do, but fortunately they don't. He does start playing drums on a stool and singing the title song. Then we pan to Edward Robinson and then Peter Graves. So he is in prison, but as I said, not a Turkish prison. And it's really Edward G. Robinson and Peter Graves that we're the most interested in. And then it gets to the last guy who just snaps, "Shut up!" And then it cuts to the title. So it's a brilliant opening. I should say this film was shot by Stanley Cortez, I believe. And man, it is one of the most black and white films you'll see. I would put it right up there with like Touch of Evil and Sweet Smell of Success. The blacks are just so black. I mean, the print by Eureka is sensational. This is spine number 300. Hard to believe Eureka MOC is just 300, whereas obviously Criterion's 1300. I mean, Indicators now almost 450. Well, not complete, but yeah, this film looks amazing. The light and shadow is just sensational. Everybody gets a shadow across their face for the film. So that's the setup. Edward G. Robinson and Peter Graves are going to be electrocuted at 8 o'clock on Black Tuesday. Peter Graves knows where there's $200,000, but he's not talking. He's in the middle of building a bridge out of matchsticks. So surely this isn't going to be a very long film if they're both in prison and they're going to get electrocuted at 8 o'clock. But there's a plot afoot to get Edward G. Robinson out. He's called the King. That's his nickname. And this is one of the Edward G. Robinson performances that he's just a bad guy. You know, lots of Hollywood actors will play bad guys, but there'll be something endearing about them, you know, but they still love their mother or something. Or they don't kill kids, they like kids. But Edward G. Robinson in this film is completely irredeemable, which makes it even more fun. And again, this is a really nihilistic film. I mean, you have characters who just walk to their death, not necessarily in an electric chair. So there's an older guard who has a daughter. There's a young newspaper man who the older guys in the office can't be bothered going to another execution, so they send him. So they're involved, not by choice, in the prison break. But because this is a noir from 1954, you can probably guess what happens during the prison break. And they escape, but in the escape, Peter Graves, who is the one that knows where the money is, a bit like Night the Hunter, he gets shot. So Edward G. Robinson brings along the doctor, the priest comes along, and they kind of go to the hideout. So it automatically becomes, from being in death row, it then becomes like a siege film where you have Edward G. Robinson, a couple of his goons, you have the doctor, you have the priest, you have the daughter of the guard, you have the newspaper reporter, and they're all in this confined space. Edward G. Robinson has a pilot of a plane there as well, because they want to get out of the country once Peter Graves lets them know where the money is. But of course he's fairly tight-lipped. And obviously the net gets closer. It's just, again, it's 80 minutes long, doesn't need to be any longer, because people do ask, why do you watch films in the 30s and 40s and 50s, their attitude to women and race and other things are a lot different and kind of frowned upon now. Yeah, you have to just take that in cultural context, and if you can't, you're generally an idiot. But it's for the filmmaking. It's for, Black Tuesday has very little budget. It's pretty much on 2 locations, or studio bound. But the writing is fantastic. The economy of the camera by Fregonese is fantastic. It's, as I said, the cinematography is absolutely gorgeous, and the print is just so pristine. That's why I watch older films, because you don't need 2.5 hours. I'm sure if this was made now, it would be like 2.5 hours long, and there'd be all these subplots. There's enough subplots with it's just a perfect little noir. And again, filmmakers today just don't seem to be able to streamline their films. Everything's got extra padding, and it's just, films like this remind you of, is this going to be remembered as one of the greatest films of all time? No. But man, it kicks the pants out of so many films that we see nowadays, and even of the time of 1954. It's just so economical, looks gorgeous. Edward G. Robinson, as I said, is completely irredeemable. There's maybe a little bit of humanity when somebody actually cares about gets hurt, but he guns down people without remorse. Peter Graves, yes, it's difficult to see Peter Graves in serious roles after seeing him in Airplane, but he's fantastic as well. It's just such a little cracker. Again, I'm not going to go into too much detail because it's just out. But again, that's why physical media is so important, and these labels are important, because you get little films like this. I'd never heard of Black Tuesday before, but this is an absolute corker, and so dark, not just in the cinematography. As I said, people willingly just walk to their deaths. There's no way out. There's no hope. There's no chance of rehabilitation. Granted, these guys were in death row, so they weren't going to get rehabilitated anyway. But the fatalism, which again I love in film noir, is just so thick it almost drips off the screen. So you can do a lot worse than pick up Black Tuesday. Who knows? Watch it with Black Sunday as a nice double bill. It's just so good. Again, I'm not going to go into every detail, but it's just wonderful. Another essential Edward G. Robinson bad guy performance. And man, the cinematography is just absolutely gorgeous. So thanks very much for watching. Please let me know if you've seen Black Tuesday and what you think of it, and hopefully you'll join me again for more random reviews. This is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films, saying farewell.